Good morning. Today is Monday, the 9th of May, 2016. Welcome to the 12 Attitudes and Responsibilities of Mastery webinar. My name is Michael Bailey, and today we're going to start right in here with the introduction. I'm just going to start right up. Part of the process of spiritual integration of our higher selves for the expansion of our consciousness, which is also referred to as enlightenment, involves reprogramming the way we think. Our thoughts create our reality and both our internal and external life experiences. The 12 Attitudes and Responsibilities of Mastery, when truly embodied and lived, will help to change our thought patterns, thoughts that we simply take for granted because they are part of our programming, our life experiences beginning before birth, and our unique perspective on our hologram, or our external world. The changing of thought patterns actually changes the programming in our physical body and DNA. The 12 Attitudes and Responsibilities of Mastery are crucial to understanding what kinds of choices lead to what kind of outcomes, and provide guidelines regarding choices that lead towards oneness and the freedom from limitation and separation, including financial freedom, that are associated with true personal mastery. Thank you for joining us for an in-depth reading and discussion of the 12 Attitudes and Responsibilities of Mastery, and exploring how they can be utilized to create true joy, happiness, inner peace, and personal prosperity, both emotional and financial. And I'd like to begin today with this is a poem from the Tao Te Ching. This is oneness. Expressed, it loses its expression. Defined, it loses its definition. In its emptiness, it is the cradle of all existence. In its fullness, it is creator of all things. Ever empty, it surrenders into the mystery. Ever full, it creates into the unknown. Of one source, they differ in name, yet all arise from the one. Oneness beyond one. Herein lies the key to all mysteries. Duality. Beauty is seen only because of ugliness. Greatness is known only for its lack. Emptiness and fullness are born of each other. Difficulty and ease create one another. Long and short grow out of each other. High and low reflect one another. Sound and listening complement each other. Front and back follow one another. And on it goes. Thus the wise pay no heed. Their acts without words showing the way. So do all things flow without thought, creating without possessing, acting without attachment, achieving without claiming achievement, existing without laying claim to existence. Thus moves all life unto eternity. And last week we left off here, and so we're going to start here with impeccability. The conscious mind has the free will power to actively choose ideas, beliefs, assessments, and labels that honor and recognize, rather than deny, the power of the God source within. The attitude of impeccability is one of upholding and protecting the all-oneness. You choose to become uncompromising on acting in divine right order. You make the choice to do nothing under any circumstances to knowingly go against the natural basic laws of energy of the Christos. Respect, love, all of those things, and you conduct yourself accordingly. Your relationship with Source comes first. And that is something you can never compromise. Impeccability means you will, to the very best of your knowledge, do your best to uphold the principles of the utopic vision within yourself of what the Christos stands for. It does not mean you put yourself up against a very hard, rigid model of perfection, because there is no such thing. Perfection is not a place you get to at the end of it all. It is a state of being. You acknowledge that is always a part of everything. It is perfectly, exactly what it is and what it needs to be, right when it is what it is. And that means tomorrow it may need to be something else, and that will be perfect also. This is part of the gratitude as well. You can start to see the perfection in what you might judge as imperfection, because every negative has a positive side to it. Polarity. There is a positive learning experience, something to be gained from everything that appears to be negative. Being impeccable does not mean walking around and saying, I am impeccable now, I am perfect, I am 12-strand activated, I have Christ consciousness, I never raise my voice, I speak in a monotone, I wear white robes all the time, or at least white shirts and pants. Believe it or not, there are a lot of those guys who float around on clouds out there in the New Age movement. That is not impeccability. Impeccability means becoming responsible for becoming educated in what the rules might be in this time matrix, this reality. What are the rules of creation? What are the basic laws of energy? They are basically the laws of love that this system was built on. So you know what it is that is supportive of the Christos and what it is that is not. Impeccability is, to the degree of your knowledge, making the choices you know are supportive of the Christos, and knowing where the little gray zone is. Like with us, are we impeccable? Yes, we are. We can smoke cigarettes, drink Diet Coke, we don't do drugs, and still be impeccable in our principles, in our unwavering commitment to uphold the ideal of the Christos truth. There is a balancing zone where balance is okay. We are still going to quit. We are moving out of it. But there are reasons sometimes why people do things that appear to be, oh, if you are spiritual, you would not do that. Or something like, well, if it's spiritual, it should be free. Sometimes, yes, they would, depending on what it is. Knowing where the balance is, you will not mess up your own progress. So do not judge people by what you think you know about what they do and why they do it. That is another part of the learning. Keep your judgments within yourself, because that's what they're for, is there for you. And I prefer the word discernment. Even then, put them in a box somewhere, because you don't need to judge yourself either. Protecting the frequencies. Now, what does that mean, protecting the frequencies? Frequencies refers to energy, but specifically the energy of consciousness. And just as energy has frequencies, so does consciousness. A high frequency of consciousness will be one of love. A low frequency will be one of hate or fear. All beings deserve to be treated with love and respect as a part of God's source. But we do not need to allow any non-Christos behavior in our hologram. Is taking a stance that you will not permit non-Christic behavior in your hologram an unloving act? Is setting boundaries and enforcing them an unloving act? The speakers have often smiled about the fact that if any of them walked into inner earth at this moment, they would be most lovingly and joyfully welcomed, and most firmly and quickly escorted to an area of quarantine there, where they would be given the tools and the time needed to heal. They would not be allowed to move amongst the others with the distortions that they carry from living in the densities, and specifically here on the surface. It would not be fair to the others. They believe their distortions should not be allowed to impact the rest of the group. It is a necessity on their part to protect the frequencies they live by. So is that an unloving act? If we do not take a stance where we will not permit non-Christic behavior in our hologram, who are we serving? Certainly not ourselves. Is stating a boundary on what we permit tough love or non-love? I know what the answer to that question is for me, and some things to ponder. Impeccability, upholding and protecting the all-oneness, consistent use of the Maharata current and other Keylontic science technologies allows the connection to our multidimensional anatomy and God source to remain open, active, and impeccable. Are you allowing non-Christic behavior in your hologram? What can you do to heal that pattern? Take a deep breath, and as you inhale, visualize pale, silvery white frequency from the Maharic shield, which is 6 inches below your feet. Think of it as a 3-foot wide plate, 6 inches below your feet. And as you inhale, imagine this pale, silvery white frequency coming up from your Maharic shield, up into your own biofields. Hold it to build a charge, and then exhale it throughout all of your entire body and biofields. Do this 3 times. Feel yourself as an impeccable pillar of Christos sound light. Some affirmations. I am impeccability. I uphold and protect the all-oneness. And I might add, to the very best of my ability. Impeccability does not mean perfection. It's striving towards perfection, because we are always in a state of becoming. The next step, mindfulness. Take learning to direct the amazing powers of your mind a bit more seriously. Practice self-awareness. In fact, that's what mindfulness is self-awareness. You can make choices. Every idea you put into your head, everything you say to yourself, every thought you think is an energy pattern. This energy pattern is an electromagnetic mathematical scalar grid that is telling your emotional body and your physical body to do something specific. Words are powerful sound patterns. Look at the words you choose in order to look at a scenario. You can look at a scenario and say, well, it looks like this to me, and then ask yourself, that is in observation mode, maybe it is true, maybe it isn't. It looks like this to me right now. Does this serve me to hold this perception? Learn to slow your mind down enough so that you're able to catch it and see and observe what it is doing. It is called becoming mindful, where you become aware of what you're allowing your mind to do. I would love to do a workshop on going through a day in a state of mindfulness. It's like a Zen experience. There's a whole different way to use your brain and to use your mind and to use your body, where you are walking, whatever you're doing, your day becomes a walking, living meditation and prayer of spirit. It puts you into a whole different state of consciousness. These are some of the things still left to learn, still left to expand, still left to explore. A matter of focus. I was at a conference and someone was quite upset about the fact that they did not like the potato salad. It just amazed me that after having the privilege of hearing some of the most important information returned to us after millions of years, that someone would expend such energies over potato salad. I guess it is just a matter of focus. Now, I could certainly see being upset if the chocolate wasn't any good, but potato salad? Really start to try to pay attention to what your consciousness is doing. If it were a beam of light, how many different directions is it bouncing off of at one time? If you want to manifest something, if you have it bouncing in 6 different directions, you're going to manifest 6 different pieces of 6 different things. But if you're aiming for one, you're probably going to miss because your consciousness is obviously all over the place. Practice self-awareness. Is this really mine? Most people assume that it is. After all, it came through you, it is inside you, it belongs to you. But there is no guarantee it is yours, especially in this day and age when something called the Shona broadcast system is going all through the grids and hitting whatever can anchor it. This is a negative broadcast system. If we become aware of our minds, and the term is mindful, be mindful of yourself. You can know yourself a little better. A lot of the time, the chatter just goes on, and you need to learn to rein in those parts just a little bit. Like the scalar waves that we are made of that flash on and off, and they do this so fast that not even science can discover this, we disappear and reappear all the time, which means most off moments when we go back into vibration and are literally not manifest here, we're actually manifest in what's called the antimatter universe, but that's another story. We can change everything. What we're talking about here is flashing back and forth between vibration and oscillation, and this happens literally trillions of times per second. We can change anything from that point of consciousness. And when we come back in on the next set of flashes, we can begin to bring in a new pattern. We have all the techniques necessary to bring in more frequency, more energy of a higher frequency, and to make different choices. It is just simply a matter of practice, diligence, and mindfulness. We can stop our old pattern of emotional reactions simply by slowing our breath, stopping the old pattern, and make a different choice. It really isn't hard, but most of us are just out of practice. Some things to ponder. What is it? What is that mind chatter that is going on while you're just going about your day? While you're doing the dishes, while you're driving your car? Catch yourself, watch yourself, and observe, what are you thinking? Mindfulness is loving, nurturing, and being attentive to the all-oneness. Where are you expending your energy? What are you doing with your consciousness? What are you creating in this moment? Slow your breathing. Become mindful of yourself. And some affirmations. I am mindfulness. I love, nurture, and am attentive to the all-oneness. I breathe slowly, and I slow my mind down and carefully observe. Fearlessness. Masters, and I'll say ascended masters if you want to say that, but masters enjoy life no matter what the drama might be. They tend to go with a fearless attitude. As long as you are responsible and you know you are doing what you can with your own fields, you know that you are creating your own safety. You are out of the fear mode at that point, and you don't have to be afraid of anything. The key is to have fun. Now, what is fear but an utter denial of the living God source and God power within you? What is fearlessness but utterly being the living God source and God power within you? Does the living God source within you lament that you have said this, and in so doing you have made me afraid? Or does the God source within observe and consider, you have said this, and I will consider the isness of this and choose to not make myself afraid? Fear is a choice. Who is responsible for your feelings? You or something outside of yourself? Well, she made me do that. He made me do that. You made me do that. In making those statements, basically what you're doing is you're handing your power over to the other person. So again, who is responsible for your feelings? You or someone or something outside of yourself? Do you each not have the gift of free will selection or choice through which you can choose how you will respond to something and thus correspondingly choose your experience of it? Who is responsible for your choices? Many of you, we are glad to say, already know the answers to these questions. These are the many whom will not be found spewing demand, accusation, and self-righteous judgment into their external hologram. Reality simply is what it is, regardless of the labels, assessments, and perceptual filters that you may personally assign to it. The experience of fear emerges when you label the benign reality of what is through the distortion lens of polarized duality, while simultaneously denying the existence, love, safety, and infinite power of manifestation inherent to the God source within you. You owe yourselves a more joyous, empowered experience, but we cannot give this gift to you. You can only choose to give it to yourselves. Fear is a biochemically carried experiential emotional translation of the God source within, denying ideas, beliefs, judgments, and labels that you hold as energy patterns within the conscious and subconscious mind. These energy patterns direct the biochemical realities through which the sensation of emotional fear is experienced. The conscious mind has the free will power to choose whether to honor and recognize or to deny the power of the God source within. When free will is used to direct the conscious mind toward God source within, honoring ideas, beliefs, assessments, and corresponding God source within honoring energy patterns are generated within the subconscious mind, and resultantly, biochemical emotional translation generates the experience of fearlessness, which I would describe as empowered, feeling empowered. The experience of fear or fearlessness is a free will conscious choice, a reality that is, and which Earth races have long forgotten. Fear emerges when you do not take responsibility for the thoughts and ideas you allow yourself to entertain, and thus permit ideas that deny the God source within to control the biochemical translation of experience for you through the conscious and subconscious minds. Fearlessness is self-created through remembering that you have this free will conscious choice and its inherent self-responsibility. Denying the existence of the isness of opposite polarities in hope of transcending polarity is not only utterly futile, as it casts one fully into a fully polarized singular polarity extreme, it is also one of the greatest demonstrations of choosing fear and denying the living God source within. Beings choosing fearlessness openly acknowledge polarity as an organic condition of manifest energy. They observe the reality of what is, and they use the personal power of their conscious mind to choose ideas, assessments, and labels that honor the infinity of the God source within them and within all things, through which the isness and the inherent living perfection of all creation can be fearlessly revealed, embraced, allowed, engaged, and unconditionally loved. Who is responsible for creating your fear? Who is powerful enough to heal it? You are, in co-creation with and expressing as your living God source within. As long as one disowns the personal responsibility of using free will choice to consciously select how one will interpret, label, and respond to conditions inherent to the isness of reality, one will be forever at the mercy of the subconscious biochemical emotive translation process. So do you choose to be empowered or a victim? If one does not recognize the self as the selector and the creator of fear, one will be likewise unable to recognize or to utilize the innate personal power to select and create fearlessness. The fallen ones, or fallen angelics, can continue to play the role of your victimizers only if you yourselves continue to play the role of victim by denying the responsibility, accountability, knowledge, truth, reality, unconditional love, and limitless power inherent to the God source within you. Both Christic and Metatronic races are beloved unto God's source. Both are allowed, since the beginning, their choice of destiny. The difference between the Christic and Metatronic path, or you could say the difference between the service to others path and the service to self path, is simply the difference between eternal life and finite life creation. the difference between a loving God source within embraced or a judging Godhead without projected. In the end, as in the beginning, all things exist within the One, as expressions of the One, and all things return unto the One. The only difference being the quality of the experiential path by which one chooses to come home. All is allowed by God's source, and all are loved. None are judged. Always. May the newly birthing species of Earth extend to each other such loving and allowance, and may each individual of Earth choose well its destiny. Life at any juncture is nothing less than celebration. Let us continue onward, upward, Godward, fearless eternally. Have faith, dear ones, at every step in your eternal God source within. Something to ponder. How do you honor and recognize or deny the power of the God source within? Some affirmations. I am always loved. I honor and recognize the power of my God source within now. I am this. I am. Learning attitude. Beings choosing fearlessness use the personal power of their conscious mind to choose ideas, assessments, and labels that honor the infinity of the God source within them and within all things. If you do get interference, attitude is everything. And this interference can come, it can be psychic, it can be astral, or it can be 3D horizontal physical. You get bullies. It does not matter how small or scared you are. Whatever it is, look it in the face and say, do you have a problem? I wish you love. I bless you, but I do not want you in my hologram anymore, and you will not frighten me. Even if your knees are shaking, do not let it intimidate you, because 99% of the power they have, the UIR, which is a group of fallen angelics, the ones that do astral interference and all of that, is the fact that they scare you. And you go, oh, help me. They'll be glad to help you. Just look it in the face and say, go away. Find somebody else. Leave me alone. If you think something is coming at you that has negative intentions, do not give it any attention, but really learn attitude. Learn how to smile and carry a chip on your shoulder. Anything that tries to grab your power and make you feel scared, realize that you have the power within you, your own Christos self that is connected to you, your own Eka self, which is connected to you, your own Akasha self that is connected to you, your very, very big self. These are names for the higher selves. If you feel afraid, look at some of the attitudes you have been taught that reinforce that fear and that run on autopilot. Recognize whether the fear appears to be directly attached to something, or if it is just the feeling of fear that is pulsing in the grids and coming in around your EMB, which is basically around your belly button area. If you are getting that, you may be picking up on some of the Metatronic pulses running through the grids. Sometimes you might wake up in the morning with a horrible scared feeling hanging with you, which is undifferentiated. It doesn't have a source. What am I afraid of? I don't know. I really don't know. You can't really put it on anything, though the logical mind wants to attach it to something. It is a bioresponse to the frequencies coming through the grids, and it generates the sensation of what you identify as fear. And this is done intentionally. This is what it's done. It's done to create fear. If we can move through these times with a smile, even in the face of adversity, or what appears to be adversity, you might be surprised at how quickly adversity turns into something else, and it shifts. And it is either not there anymore, or it suddenly becomes funny. That is how the things that are really trying to hassle you, and they really are trying to just scare you, and you get this natural spark in you where you're just so sick of the game that you finally say, I'm sorry, I just can't take this seriously anymore. Whatever. I don't want to play anymore. Period. People who try to intimidate you in 3D, which is physical life, or elsewhere, do not know what to do with that. So what they usually say is, let's find another one. This one's too hard, or they're not harassable. They're like bullies. All right, I'm not running this time. Are you going to hit me? I'm talking about standing your ground, holding your power, and realizing that A, you have the ability, and B, all the support you need to take responsibility to do it. If you don't take responsibility for holding your own ground, there are lots of things in this world and others that will be glad to take it from underneath you. Be proud of yourself. Look yourself in the mirror and say, I am a powerful, loving, Christic being. I am a powerful being. No matter what you have done, you can still be Christic in intention. So it doesn't matter. Don't care either way. Either way, you can evolve with Christic standards, and you can learn joy. When you understand the Christos, you understand your connection to it. You understand that you are not alone here. You understand that you have the ability to bring in any protection that you might need to fulfill the needs that you have, and to help others to do that. If you understand the oneness and conduct yourself in a certain way with knowledge, and you use that knowledge, you have nothing to be afraid of. Do not be afraid that there is something out there with the power to take your power away, like the government. If you fully uphold your power and do not give it away, and you learn the knowledge you need to bring that power back, you have nothing at all to be afraid of. We don't have to be afraid of the times that are coming at all. We have to be aware and attentive, mindful, respectful, loving, grace-filled, all of these things. And we need to learn to trust big time. Trust in things to act according to whatever their template or their nature is. If you know someone's a narcissist, don't expect them to suddenly act with concern for others. Trust in the universe and the Christos to do the same, which means when we're working with the Christos energy, we've got a lot of beings out there looking out for our backs. We have a lot of help, a lot of support. In fact, all those beings up there in the higher realms are just higher versions of us. Those are manifestations of ourselves up there. Only in fearlessness can you embrace and rediscover your true heritage of God-given self-sovereign freedom. And these are some really beautiful things called affirmations of divine love. And it's got these in English, and then it's got them in what's called Anuhasi, Anuhasi was the very first spoken language in this time matrix, which was created billions of years ago. So first I'll read it in English, and then I'll read it in Anuhasi. Affirmations of divine love. True love is not blind. God love embraces all, with heart resolute, principle firm, and eyes wide open. Ah-Bhin nasa, yanese dore umestae, Jha-wha'n tae, Rea-ha imsa-ide. Ah-Bhin nasa, yanese dore umestae, Jha-wha'n tae, Rea-ha imsa-ide. True love is not blind. God love embraces all, with heart resolute, principle firm, and eyes wide open. Some things to ponder. Fearlessness is recognizing the eternal, infinite nature and unconditional love of the all-oneness. Fearlessness is embodying the living God source and God power within you. Fear is denying the living God source and God power within you. Something to ponder. Read the affirmations of divine love above. And I'll post these in the comments section with this video on YouTube. What does each line mean to you? And some affirmations. I am fearlessness. I recognize the eternal, infinite nature and unconditional love of the all-oneness. I am fearlessness. I recognize the eternal, infinite nature and unconditional love of the all-oneness. And I'm going to stop here. We'll continue next week with engaged detachment. And with that, we're going to conclude today's call. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again next week.